what's been your worst trading experience, and what have you learned from it in the past? Can you tell me? Everybody talks about glory, but let's talk about pain, because that's what sometimes a lot more illustrative. So, what was your worst trade that you did?
Sure. So, my trading experience, I started end of 2018, and I started by myself. For about a year and a half, or a year before finally joining Austin. And that's where I kind of found my consistency. But before joining Austin, I actually had, so this was my worst painful experience. I placed a trade, and I ended up losing $20,000 on one trade. So that was quite a learning experience. No stop loss. I didn't know what that was when I first got into trading, that sort of thing. So obviously after
what was the instrument? What were you trading?
It was pound dollar.
Oh, the pound dollar is the graveyard of every that ever existed. There is no trade, or there is no strategy that the pound dollar will not destroy. Absolutely. I have a very good friend, Ragi Horner, who's trader forever, and she runs a futures trading room, and literally her one rule in life is to never trade the pound dollar, because and I think if I were to amass all the losses of my life in FX, like 90% of them would be in pound dollar or pound dollar derivatives, whether it be euro pound on the slow side,
that's crazy,
or pound on the upside. Literally no trade ever, because I think the thing about the pound dollar that people just can't understand is that no matter how bad it gets, it will always get worse. That's what people don't understand about pound dollar. Would you say that's true, James?
Yep. That was obviously a very good learning experience, and one that I will never forget. But when you think it can't get worse, it can. So drop the ego, and that's what I learned. Right. Drop the ego. You can never be right all the time.
Right, exactly. How about you, Austin? What was sort of like your nightmare?
Yeah, I would just say the whole first 18 months of getting into trading, I had such a bad intro into trading through the. I came into forex trading through the multi-level marketing space, unfortunately, through companies that we're not going to mention.
That's like a sin upon sin upon sin. I mean,
I know.
So the only worst thing you could have done was like gone to Vegas and rented a motorbike without a helmet.
Right. Yeah. So I came in through that, which did not teach me proper risk management or account management or anything. So the whole first 18 months, I'm using high leverage, funding small accounts, and just blowing them out one trade at a time with no understanding of what I was doing. And it took the study of other successful traders to change my perspective on trading. And it took a long time. The period of time that I'm talking about, Boris, when I was struggling, it's funny that I'm talking to you about this, because I came to your money show talk back in New York City at Times Square, like 2018, 2019, 2017. 16 maybe, way back. Like this is way back. And that was a period of time where I was inconsistent, just trying to learn as much as I could from guys like you, guys that had figured out a way to make money in markets before me. And I think that the losses in the first year and a half that I had were over 30 grand. It was all the money that I had thrown in was just gone. And then I looked at that and said, am I going to eat that loss and move on from trading and give up on this? Or am I going to use that as my tuition and keep going till I figure this out? And I have a very passionate personality. So here I am.
Yeah, no, I think anybody who trades successfully is just a really stubborn son of a gun person. I think traders are all different styles, different things, but I think the only unifying factor I've seen across successful traders is basically irrational stubbornness, because that's what it requires. Given the amount of challenges and given the amount of disappointments, that we've all been there. So it's fascinating. So what? How did you go to break even first, and were you like sort of a break even trader for about a year before you finally did? How was the transition? How was the transition for you?
Exactly. So over the course of that next year, I started to develop. Well, and refine, I guess you could call it, the first strategy I had, the A1 strategy. And as I started to do well with that and recoup the gains, that's when people saw what I was doing on Snapchat and Instagram, and I was sharing all this stuff on social media, and that started to attract people to want to learn what I was doing. Because at that time, no one was trading forex that I knew. No one, especially in America, was talking about that in my age. So I was like, that, like you said, that stubborn, rebellious kind of thing. But one other comment I just want to add, when you say the stubbornness, I totally agree. But I think stubbornness can actually be a bad trait too for traders. I think about like one of the mistakes that I was doing at this time was I was moving my stop loss. Instead of just getting stopped out and taking the loss, I was stubborn to the point where I wanted to be right more than I would just admit that I was wrong and take the loss. So stubbornness is a good and a bad thing. You got to know how to balance it. It takes time.
No, stubbornness in the pursuit of the goal,
in the drive, that determination,
in the execution of goal. You're absolutely right. There's two different stubbornness. One is very destructive. One is actually constructive.
Exactly.
How about you, James? I know you you hooked up with Austin, and he was the one that taught you the basic setups. What was your journey? So you traded without stops. You were typical. Let me just explore this universe and get slapped around a little bit. But then once you glommed on to Austin's ideas and you made them your own. Well, how did you make them your own? What was your journey?
So I was playing actually professional rugby. I was on 3 years.
Oh, really?
Yep, I was playing professional rugby for 3 years for the Sharks here in Durban, South Africa. And after that, I bust my knee up and I tore my ACL and meniscus in my left knee. And that's actually how I got into trading, because I needed to keep. I'm very like my friends say I got ADHD. I got to keep myself busy, And trading looked very interesting, and and I was studying my BCom. I got a BCom financial management degree. So it was something that interested me. And then I found Austin after finally a year and a half of struggling. I was like, I can't do this by myself. Let me just put money in good, solid education in the markets. But how I made it my own is that I think that Austin and I might trade with the same indicators, same technical analysis, but each person is different. I think that what I did is I really zoned in on looking at using the 50-minute as my basis, but I started to use the 1 minute and the 5 minutes a lot as well. On top of that, especially using in conjunction with the 8 and 21 EMAs.
So how do you, when you look at the 1 minute, the 5 minute, is it just for confirmation, or do you actually enter on the 1 minute, 5 minute these days?
So it's actually my entries on the 1 minute and the 5 minutes.
Now you're playing in my field. Okay, so you start, and that's why you got more aggressive, because you're in early, you're pressing the trade, you're pushing it. So it's interesting, super interesting. Yeah, I totally agree that nobody can teach you trading. People can teach you trading concepts and trading ideas. You have to make trading your own. Very much, it's relative to your personality and relative to your style. I absolutely agree with that. With that point.